Pinkertons Ghosts is a horror anthology podcast by Superversive Radio, with no affiliation with any detective agency, person, real or imagined, or the dark forces of Autre Terre. It is not intended for children.
When you work in the Paranormal Pinkertons for a certain amount of time, you get used to certain things. For one thing, part of the training is getting used to a certain level of weirdness, and for another, the human brain's an amazing capacity to adapt itself to a new normal. So, the job is, for the most part, doable. For the most part. Sometimes, it's stuff you get used to. Sometimes, you end up trying and failing to rescue your friend's mother by negotiating with a demon in the depths of hell. Those are the sorts of things you never get used to. I'm speaking lightheartedly, but here's the cold truth, Control. What happened that day? It ate at me. It really ate at me. Do you remember what I said? That I'd never felt like more of a failure in my entire life? I've been in some dark places. I've looked down the bottom of a glass, wishing with all my heart it was the barrel of a gun. I've given up on my future, my family, my life, my God. I've looked at the worst humanity has had to offer, and I saw it in my own heart. But I mean it. That moment, in front of the throne of the God of the dead, was the moment I felt the most like a failure. After we came back, I didn't know what to do. I couldn't look Jack or Jim in the face. The way I see it, it was like this. Jack was not only a friend. He was a man who had put his own life on the line to save mine on more than one occasion. Not only that, he had been a protector of humanity from the forces of the Autre Terre for his entire life. If ever there was someone who deserved to have people go above and beyond for him, he was that man. Control, you did your job, convincing the bigwigs at the other organizations to let us take our shot at it. Tom had defied the machinations of the clockwork cognomen and retrieved the heart of Kronos. Jim had managed through wit and guile to contrive a safe path for us to the underworld. Everyone had contributed. Every piece of the puzzle had slotted into place. Except me. I can make all of the excuses I want, but the fact is that I had been handed my opportunity on a silver platter. I confronted Hades with time itself, just sitting in my back pocket, the very nature of reality in the hands of the Pinkertons. And I had failed. Not Jim, not Tom, not you, Control. Me. Where do you go from here? How do you move forward? One day, while trying to work my way through this, I sat down with my confessor at the Blue Army Shrine in Asbury, New Jersey, Father Mark Murphy, an Irishman, who had been transferred to the States. He's a good priest, and he knows what's up with the Autre Terre. I gave the typical spiel to open the confession. I went through the normal sins. You know, lust, losing my temper, lying to get out of a conversation with someone you don't particularly like. Stuff like that. Then I paused for a moment. Father Mark pressed me. "What is it, son?" he said in his thick Irish brogue. Don't make me try and mimic it. "Something is on your mind." I laughed bitterly. "You don't know the half of it, Father." "Then tell me. You know it never leaves this room." I sighed. The sacrament was no good if you held back, after all. "Father, what am I doing here?" "What do you mean by here?" "The Paranormal Pinkertons. You know what I do." "I do. Go on." "Why am I doing this? I haven't been trained since birth to be some sort of monster-killing machine like Jack. I'm not some sort of wizard like Jim. I don't have some sort of long family pedigree. I'm just some guy. Am I even helping things? Can't someone else do better?" Father paused for a moment at this, then continued. "What brings us up now, son? What happened? You've been doing this for a while. Why now?" Father was good. I explained what happened with Jack and his mother in the underworld. Father listened patiently. "So, you think it was your fault Jack's mother died?" "Oh, who else is there to blame? It was up to me and I failed. Father's answer was thoughtful. Did you, though? I wonder. In my head, like a movie reel playing in front of me, Jack's mother's last moments played out. Her brutal fight with Jack, her final moments with the goblet in her hand, my choking, aborted attempts to get across some measure of something. Wisdom, grace, what a joke. I remembered her last words. We'll meet again, Jack. Was it suicide or self-sacrifice? What was my role in it all? I shook my head, like I was clearing it of cobwebs. It was all too much. I'm sorry, Father, but I don't get it. He sighed, sounding disappointed. I can't walk you through this one, son. Pray on it. Don't avoid it. Pray. I nodded, secretly feeling like it wouldn't do any good, which just made me angry with myself, 'cause I knew that wasn't how you were supposed to feel about prayer. I will, Father. He sighed again. Come now, Sean. That's not it, is it? There's more. Yeah, Father was real good. It's Cynthia. He knew all about Cynthia and Violet. Oh, you're nearing the end of the annulment process, right? Did something go wrong? Is this right, Father? Declaring that it wasn't a real marriage? That never happened? I mean, it did, right? Aren't I just looking for an excuse? Yeah, Control, I'll be honest. This one had been eating at me too. Father Mark asked me a question that took me off guard. You've been through a lot of suffering, right, Sean? I had never thought about it like that before. I guess. You walk the path of the Lord now, right? I try. You do try, Sean. Our Heavenly Father does not ask for what you cannot give. Heaven knows I see you often enough. So why don't you want to be happy? I was completely thrown. That is completely, I mean, all that is required of you is trust. And you have someone waiting who loves you, is loyal to the church, and wants to marry you. Why do you fight it? I couldn't speak. The truth is, I wasn't sure. Wait, no, that's not the truth. The truth is, I was scared, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. Father Mark spoke to me more gently now. I can't work through all of this for you, Sean. Don't let guilt and fear stop you from accepting the blessings God bestows on you. Ingratitude, too, is a sin, and the Lord is blessing you now. Rejoice! The confession went on normally after that, but I was distracted. There was someone I had to talk to. Not Violet. Cynthia. A few hours later, and I was knocking on her door. She still hadn't moved from the house we had lived in. It was easy enough for her to clean me out in the divorce. I was a crazy drunk, after all, and I was in no real position to fight it anyway. Her new husband wasn't home, still working, I guess. Cynthia opened the door. Well, look who the cat dragged in. What is it this time, Shawnee? I'm not here to play games with you, Cynthia. The annulment papers, you signed them. Oh, I did. No skin off my nose. I'm not sure why you care so much about this stuff, Shawnee, but anything for you. Incredible. Even now, after a divorce and signing annulment papers, after getting remarried, she was still flirting with me. I ignored her. I was here for a reason. I asked my question. How is this so easy for you? She raised her eyebrows. Easy for me? I don't follow, Shawnee. I nearly killed myself when our marriage fell apart. I've been sitting and agonizing over this damn annulment, but you, not once have you looked like a second of this has bothered you. How? What's so special about you? Cynthia reacted in a way I didn't expect. She got angry. Easy. Easy, Sean. You think this was easy for me. No more Shawnee. Well, she sighed. I'd been getting that a lot lately. Her anger had passed. Do you remember our wedding day? Despite it all, I smiled as I nodded. Couldn't help myself. I do. I've never forgotten it. We were so young, Sean, so ready for the future. We were going to take on the world. In spite of myself, I saw myself as I was that day. A new business, a gorgeous wife, nice clothes, nice car, nice house. Things were different then. My smile disappeared. Maybe it was never our place to take on the world. Maybe we went into it wrong from the start. Is that how you see it, Sean? Wrong from the start? Well, that isn't how I see it. It's never been how I see it. Don't think I don't know how other people see me. As some sort of selfish gold digger. As if it was my fault that you changed, Sean. As if I did something wrong because you stopped being the man I married. Because I wouldn't watch you destroy your life with alcohol and lose all your friends and see your business collapse around you. You had changed, Sean. But me? I stayed the same. So yes, I divorced you. And yes, I got a lot from that divorce. You were a drunk, Sean. Not me. And don't forget, maybe I did get the divorce and maybe I did get remarried, but I never tried to say the marriage never happened. Never. That was you. Don't forget that. These were probably the most complex emotions I had ever seen Cynthia show. She had teared up and was shaking, and I suddenly felt a new flash of insight as to why the marriage failed. I'm sorry. There was nothing else for me to say. She gave me a sad smile, blinking back the tears. What happened to us, Shawnee? How did we get so old? We're not old. Aren't we? I knew what she meant. Maybe that's not so bad. We're not those fresh-faced kids who are going to take on the world anymore. I tried to give her a smile, but it was probably pained. It wasn't all bad times, Cynthia, but things couldn't go on like that. We had to grow up sometime. I guess you're right, Shawnee, but I'll always miss those good times. I thought of Cynthia, then of Violet. Time gets away from us sometimes. Me too, Cindy. Me too. Oh yeah, I should probably get to the case control, but I promise you there's a reason I included all of this. I've been thinking of making a decision, and, well, you'll see. I got a typical haunted house call. Truth be told, these are the most common Pinkerton calls, so routine that we normally don't bother talking about them. 9 times out of 10, it's nothing, and even the 10th time, it's normally either something we direct to some sort of professional exorcist or handle ourselves without too much trouble. I walked into the house, no event, and report. The truck stop was being used as a meth lab. Events came from hallucinogenic fumes, informed DEA. End report. The campgrounds are built over ancient ritual grounds, escorted exorcist to site, no further events, end report. And that was a busy week. This was a house in Morristown, New Jersey, and I don't know how to describe it except to say it looked as if you made a really nice gingerbread house out of real materials. It was very, Germanic in style. And old, at least for America. The first additions to the house dated to the 1700s. It was recently sold to new owners who were interested in turning it into a museum, but they were concerned over some banging on the upper floors, doors slamming in the night, that sort of stuff, so we were called. Paranormal Pinkertons are the guys you call in if you're serious about either learning there is some sort of problem or learning that there isn't. No theatrics. We're the real deal. You want a primetime special, call in Zach Baggins, but don't expect to find any answers. Of course, the owners were sarcastic. All the reputation in the world can't save guys in my field from a little snark. They cracked jokes up until I told them our fees. They paid it. I went to the job not expecting much. These old houses, the doors aren't installed properly half the time. There are all sorts of electrical issues that might cause problems, lights flickering, the pipes bang because of humidity, all sorts of things. We check them out as a courtesy. In fact, during the period when you had been kidnapped control, we got less of these sorts of cases. Well, they were trying to kill us. So I go in and investigate. At night, of course, that's when most paranormal stuff occurs, and we're trying to draw it out. If it's there. I wear the ring, and I bring my gun strapped to my leg, and a cross made of iron in case it's something fey, which is by no means impossible in New Jersey. The investigation is routine. I follow the standard Paranormal Pinkerton protocol. All sharp objects are removed from the house to the extent it's reasonable. Leave me alone to investigate for the night. The sharp object thing is because of how poltergeists work. They like to make objects fly around, and it ups your odds a bit if it's not a knife. So, I stay the night. Most of the night is normal, but banging does start around 1 a.m. I draw my gun and proceed into the kitchen to investigate the noise. I'm cautious. I've read reports from all the way back to the beginning of the organization. A foolhardy Paranormal Pinkerton is a dead Paranormal Pinkerton. I approach the sink where the banging is loudest. I open the cupboards expecting some animal banging around, a rat or a raccoon or something, but no, it's really just pipes settling. I sigh and relax and nearly jump out of my skin when I hear a voice. What stranger deigns to use the home of the Bradford family? The voice is hoarse, almost like there's a sore throat. I feel my heart sink as I look up. Sure enough, there's a translucent ghost floating in front of me. He's dressed in an old-style Revolutionary War uniform. Maybe he was one of the soldiers who died in the Morristown winter when Washington's army camped at Jockey's Hollow. Okay, I guess this one is a real haunting. I gulp and decide to speak. As professionals, we're expected to make at least a token attempt at solving these sorts of issues, even if most of the time there's little we can do. Was this your home? It's the home of the Bradford family. You're trespassing. No, I was invited here. I have permission. The banging under the sink got louder and the table started to shake. You lie! My family never spoke to you. They sold the house, Bradford. It's not your family's home anymore. It will always be my home. That's when the stuff started to fly, pots and pans and utensils. I knew the drill. I bolted. I had done my job, haunting confirmed, professional needed. This was a job for clergy. Based on appearance and behavior, this was a poltergeist. He was a sub-variety of a Type 2 ghosts that weren't from hell but were instead trapped in some sort of in-between state. This was good news. Ghosts from hell were more dangerous and harder to get rid of. The bad news is poltergeists have some ability to move objects within certain limits, and that can be tricky to deal with. Either way, except in those rare circumstances where some sort of magical object or curse is being used to trap souls, that's not something I can help with. Then something happened. The banging underneath the sink got louder. I ignored it as I ran, sprinting for the door. Suddenly there was a boom, almost like a gunshot. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a piece of metal fly through the air like a spear. I dove to the ground, and the metal whizzed through the air above me, gave a howl of pain as the metal bar sliced through the top of my shoulder. Above me, I saw it embed in the door in front of me, quivering like an arrow. At the time, I couldn't even begin to understand what it was. Later, I learned that the pipe was rusty underneath the sink. So rusty, the poltergeist had managed to get it to break off. I need a painful tetanus shot after this was all over. As for me, I just ignored the pain in my shoulder and kept moving. Behind me, a whole pile of pots and cans were coming for me. Forget the door. Turning the knob would take too long. With a yell of adrenaline, I put my shoulder against the door. It wasn't the door from the 1700s, but the frame was. I broke through, tripping up and rolling off the porch. The pots and cans flew over my head, crashing into the ground near me. You better believe I sprinted off that property as fast as I could. Anyway, control. So, the whole incident got me thinking. This was a typical Paranormal Pinkerton thing, right? Simple ghost investigation, low risk. And even here, even now, I almost died. If I hadn't dove into the ground, that rusty pipe would have skewered me. I'm not saying it's happening now. I know you still need help rebuilding the organization. I'm not going to abandon you. But I think I need to start looking into how my leaving is going to go. Alright, so the truth is, there are better men than me for this job. People with more experience hunting monsters. People who know this game inside and out. And, look, I'm getting married soon if everything goes well. I'll be starting a family. Paranormal Pinkertons don't normally have families. It's just too dangerous. Now, it's not immediate or anything. I'm not planning on leaving tomorrow. I'm just saying... Huh? It's Cynthia. That's weird. Hold on, Control. Cynthia, what is it? Hey, what's going on? What is that? Cynthia, talk to me. Cynthia, what is that noise? Cynthia! Control, I've got to go. Something is seriously wrong. Sean Russo, signing off for now.
Pinkerton's Ghosts is a podcast distributed by Superversive Radio, licensed under an attribution non-commercial, share-alike international license. This episode was written by Anthony Marchetta and is performed by the same. Ben Wheeler edits, directs, produces, and herds cats. Kid Dickerson performs our audio editing. Visit us on Facebook, read articles on superversivesf.com, or listen to us on unauthorized Acast, iTunes, or Spotify. Contact us through Twitter at @PinkertonsGhost, email us at pinkertonsghosts@gmail.com, or send us noble messenger possums with messages strapped to their backs. Don't worry, they know how to find us. Thank you for listening, and good luck.